is going to be a little more goofy. And I'll hand it off to our wonderful wanderers who are here tonight, who can introduce themselves and their characters. Whoever wants to jump in first.
I'll go. Hello, I am Martha. My pronouns are they, them. Um, and I'm stalling while I open my character sheet. Cool. Okay. And I will be playing an engineer, Thrag, named Ort. Um, and he's a man of few words, but you know, he loves his little lizard, and that's what it's all about.
And if we zoom way, way, way in on Ort, sitting on Ort's shoulder, we will meet my character. Hi, I'm Steve. You can find me on the socials at Tall Halfling, sometimes Tall Halfling RPG. Um, and like I say, sitting on Ort's shoulder, we find a Frangir wavelength named Luna Bombix, which is to say she's a moth. She's about 6 inches tall. She lives inside the walls of a spaceship. Uh, she's quietly kicking her feet while she sits up there and supervises.
That's super cute. I want a moth buddy. I'm jealous. Uh, Hi guys. My name is Rafindiel. You guys can call me T. I will be playing a Caspia diplomat named Venlith. She's kind of interesting in the fact that she's very blunt and kind of cold, and but she can also at the same time be very loving and familial like. So, see.
Beautiful. So we have a cephalopod, a butterfly, and an orca wandering through the wilderness. So to paint a picture for folks, like I said, this is taking place on the planet of Adelphos, and in the lure of Adelphos, Adelphos is the planet from which all peoples originated millions of years ago. However, because of the hubris of one people that decided, hey, we're going to harness the powers of the kaiju that live on this planet because we want to conquer space. They didn't really figure for the fact that nature would fight back, and so everyone else bailed, and has only recently, in the last couple decades, returned to the planet to kind of start to explore what was their home. This is kind of divided Delphos into, or those who live now in the territory of Haven, into two camps. Those folks who are like, we must reclaim the planet, find our lineage, find out who we are, who we were. And those folks who are like, hey, we don't own this place anymore. We might have come from here, but we don't live here. So maybe we just settle with what we've got and we call it good. Haven is divided into 6 different counties, and we find ourselves in the county of Tide Timber. Deep rolling cedar forests, lots of sandstone mountains and cliffs. And our gang here has gathered in Morlock's Mount, the capital of the county, on account of the fact that there are jobs that need doing here on Adelphos. And to paint you guys sort of a size picture, Adelphos itself is the size of Jupiter. So very big planet. Haven, the territory in which everyone lives in, is about the size of Russia. So about 18 million square miles. So there's a whole lot of planet, and we take place in just a teeny tiny part of that planet. So our gang here, Morlock's Mount, this sort of beautiful, very rustic city that is sort of slowly growing out of this cove. You look off the tops of the cliffs, these 6 big sort of sandstone spires right out of the bay with apartment buildings built on them. The Grav Rail, which is slowly being built, leaves Tide Timber to head north to Rune Salt. And the most crowning glory in Tide Timber is, of course, the ruins of Antil's Dawning, the ship that crashed here years ago that brought the Morlocks themselves here. And sort of out of it was constructed this great satellite tower that sort of has brought everyone here now. And we find our trio waiting in line to receive their job assignment. Uh, Again, it could be anything from check out this collapsed windmill to hey, there's a bunker that we haven't set foot in. You guys want to take a look? So it's kind of a luck of the draw, quite literally, as to what you will get. Um, so I guess I'd love for you guys to share what brought your wanderers to Adelphos and what brought them to Morlock's Mount. I guess if you want to go in the order that we introduced, Martha, if you want to introduce what brought
Yeah.
our Thrag friend to Morlock's Mount.
Well, Ort has been hard pressed to find good work. He's been looking to and fro, trying to get something stable. Everything involving real engineers, anything that needs real engineers, anything that needs doing. It's really freelance, kind of contractual, real seasonal work. So he's just looking for something else in the kind of the milieu of jobs that he gets to hold him over until he can find something real stable.
I love that even here in our make believe game, we cannot escape the fact that the job market sucks.
Oh, not for
Oh,
contractors.
all right, Steve. What about our little moth friend?
Um, so Luna has heard stories about the ruins, ancient technology, um, and in her experience, the older technology gets, the more people will let you mess with it to make it make interesting noises. Um, if you start trying to make music with current tech, people grouse at you because you're using it wrong. It's not intended to make that noise, but it's so pretty. But the older the tech gets, the more you can mess with it without people getting upset.
Nice. All right, T. What about our tall and cold whale friend?
So what brings Venlith to this place is she's been looking to try and get into some sort of government, but her ideals are very different from everyone else's and not very well um taken, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Um so she's kind of looking to start her, not really her own government, but she wants to find somewhere where she can express those ideas and feel like it's reached and accepted and maybe even put into action.
Awesome, awesome. So you three have done a couple small jobs together. You know, you all are accepting of each other's quirks, and here, in Haven, everyone's kind of just doing what they can to get by. There's the homesteaders, the junkers, the explorers, the folks, the corporations who are looking to try and push the bucket. But most people are just here to learn and to find a new beginning. And some folks, hey, if that means doing freelance work, that's what junkers are for. Um, Around you, as you guys are all standing in line, there are tons of folks from all across the galaxy that are here. You definitely notice a couple other Thrag, a few other Frangir, one or two big Caspia commandos kind of entombed in very heavy armor, looking very intimidating. You see there are dragons walking around, there's trolls in line waiting to get jobs. And finally, you guys get to the front and you see a rather uh, worn out looking Cosgob, this kind of little blue guy with forearms. Clearly has drank way too much coffee today, but it didn't do what it was supposed to do. And he looks at you and goes, and sort of looks around and goes, site 42B. And he like flipping through all these receipts. Here's the waivers and any receipts you need to bring back, and they need to be itemized, and it will be deducted from your final finder's fee.
So it's not even like stipended. Every expense that we use gets taken out of the final cut.
But no, hold on. And he like starts pulling open drawers. There is a stipend. I'll be right back. And he sort of just scuttles away.
Get yourself some water. Sometimes when you have too much coffee, it does the thing where it makes the heart race, but it doesn't wake you up. It'll
I
help to
don't
beat some
think
of that anxiety.
my BPM is 200. I need to fix
All right,
this. And
got it.
about 5 minutes later, he does come back with essentially kind of like what looks like a credit card. And he goes, "There's 50 buds on this. This is a stipend. Um, anything over it, though, that's where we need the receipts. That's where the commissioners need the receipts. So,
You got it. All right.
he's
And this
like,
is for all of us?
yes, this is for all three of you guys. So the way they hand out jobs is because they're like, hey, people going out into an unknown planet gotta have the buddy system. You shouldn't go do stuff by yourself. Um, and so they usually will only give jobs out to groups of 3 or more. They're like some people, if it's like 2 trolls, they'll be like, yeah, you guys can probably handle yourself. But if it's like some like 2 like young hip teens who are like, we're gonna go like become the coolest junkers, and I'm like, no, you guys need somebody else. But for you guys, they're like, yeah,
Nicole.
sure. Here's everything. They stamp it, hand it to you guys, um, and you are free to head out. If any of you guys want to make any rolls to see if you know what Site 44B is, you may do so.
I would like to make a roll. Where's my sheet?
So, for everybody who is watching right now, Daylite is a D12 system. There are literally 3 things you roll for, not counting like if you're doing damage or that kind of thing. You have 3 core stats, and then you have 2 other stats, which are like your health and your armor. So yeah, I designed this to be as little rolling as possible. So if there's not a ton of rolling, that's why we're here for the story, gang. So what did you get?
Is this going to be the spacer?
Yes.
Okay. +1. So that is 7.
Okay. So 44B, it's kind of one of the sites that you, I think, would remember from various different freelancing jobs. It's one that's kind of like popped up as like oh, this is something that's like nearby, but no one's really gotten to go and checked it out yet, just because it's like everyone wants to kind of like go find the farthest, most hidden thing. So it's kind of like, if you grew up in the countryside and you're like, oh, there was an old poorhouse foundation by our house, or there was an old like barn. No one wanted to go check that out. They wanted to go see the other cool thing. This is kind of a closer job, so within like a day or 2 of travel, you guys don't have to like prepare anything wild. Um, it's in a rock, like it's something fused inside a giant rock, and that's about all you guys know about it, or at least rather that you would know about it, Ort.
In a giant rock, like, is it like a cave mouth or is it like concave into the rock?
Give me another spacer, and we'll
Okay.
see what your cephalopod knowledge gives you.
Um,
Should we get
but
climbing
how
gear?
it was fused into rock, does that make it technology related, arguably?
Probably. You could probably make that argument, yes.
In which case, Luna's going to whisper into your ear a theory about rocks and resonant frequencies, and you can add a 1 to your roll.
Hell yeah. 4.
Oh no. Um Luna is so excited that you get a little feedback from Luna's wavelength abilities, and you're kind of like get like a little tiny like blast of tinnitus, and there's nothing coming through. But as you guys are standing there, I will say T, one of the other Caspia sees you guys, and so for folks at home, I want you to imagine like a humanoid orca who's about 10 feet tall. And they are part of the what is called the Caspia conglomerate. They are a uh, colonial space power. They like to conquer other planets and absorb them. And so you see this huge like, bull Caspia walking forward, just heavy combat armor, clearly beat up, just Rob Liefelded out with pouches and bullets and grenades and just all this stuff. And comes up and kind of bows to UT. I see you are traveling with others. This is interesting that you would not join up with people of the great whale.
Well, I kind of so she like stutters through things because she's like, oh no, now what do I do? Um, I mean, we all kind of need a change of scenery, and it's not like anyone was listening to me anyway. And these guys totally like listen to me and follow me about what I have to say. I mean, plus I kind of like Moss, and he's kind of cute. So like like as like a puppy dog kind of thing. I mean, I who wouldn't want a little moth that lands on your shoulder? It's kind of hard for me, but you know.
The commando kind of narrows their eyes and kind of crosses their arms and looks at all of you. I hope whatever small task you have been given, you do not make fools of yourselves. And you can see like he's clearly with a group of kind of like the cool junkers. Like they got all like the newest tech and they all are like clean and precise. They have matching uniforms. And he was like hired muscle to like look cool.
Well, my friend, I'll tell you what, whatever task it is you're doing, I hope it sits perfectly well with you. I myself don't live for my work. So, I'll do what needs doing, and that'll be the end of that.
Love a good work-life balance.
Thank you.
That kind of he kind of like you break him a little bit in that like this big like terrifying whale man doesn't quite know how to respond because he was like all about the intimidation factor and or just like hit him with truth.
Do you live to work, my friend? Have you opened your mind lately?
I
Take care of yourself out there.
this man is just having like he's like rebooting. The rainbow wheel of death is just like bling.
Benlith
So, so
chuckles and looks to her companion and is like, I mean, he was never that bright anyway at home, so I wouldn't expect much out of him.
So
Slay.
as this 10-foot tall orca is trying to intimidate my friends, um, uh, Luna turns and yells off, "Hey, Sticks, want to go for a walk?" And the ground rumbles and rumbles again and rumbles again. And a 20-foot tall tortoise that looks like it's made out of lava walks up behind this guy.
He so what Steve is describing here, everyone, is called a hell tortoise.
Mhm.
They are denizens of the county of Driftwood. Their shells quite literally look like screaming faces made out of rock held together by lava. They're very friendly and very gentle. They just look terrifying. And the Caspia looks and goes, um, I'll go that way. And just like very awkwardly like does the sidestep shuffle out of the way of Luna's 20-foot tall tortoise.
Nick's kind of huffs some smoke watching the guy go. Uh, Luna flies up and gives him a rub on the nose ridge and then comes back to her humanoid friends.
Love this guy.
Yeah, Venla's gonna like feed him like lettuce or whatever,
Yeah.
he eats.
The palm frond.
Right. I don't know what lava turtles eat, but
It's
Lettuce
like
a rock,
that's on
small rock.
fire.
Like,
it's like that thing of when you're younger and you watch Land Before Time and you think leaves are delicious, and then you eat a leaf and you're like, actually, no, this is not delicious. This is disgusting. And then your entire life falls apart. Um, so you guys are free if you want to go out and get any supplies or anything, or grab anything before you guys leave town. Again, the Site 44B is like literally an overnight hike and campsite. So you don't need a ton of stuff, but all you know is it's something fused into rock. So you don't entirely know what that is going to count as.
I'm gonna kind of look around for. Is there like just like something like potential climbing gear in case we have to like climb down into something, and also maybe like pickaxe in case we have to like chip a like path forward.
Yeah, no, there are definitely a lot of like climbing and mining organizations and shops in Tide Timber, especially in Morlock's Mount, because there is a ton of logging and a ton of quarrying that goes on, because lots of sandstone. Sandstone's the only rock they got. So you guys can easily pick up some climbing gear and some like basic mining gear if you want it. And I'll say, as you guys are sort of walking through town again, just everyone from the galaxy is here. It's a very colorful, lively place, and you guys have been all across Haven. You know, you've been to Runesalt, you've been to Stilt City, and worked with Odontos before, and kind of their quirky, very awkward way of working with everyone. And it's Morlock's Mountain is very much the idea of what Haven could become. And lots of very lovely red buildings made out of cedar, and it's very aromatic. There's lots of smells and scents in the air. Um, just many different sites. And I will say that as you guys are walking along and picking stuff up, you do, I would say T probably more so notices there are a couple posters up sort of trying to get conscripts to join the Caspian military here and there, that some folks have like doodled very terrible cartoon whales over. There's like one where someone drew like a little chibi whale riding a rocket. That's very silly. But there are some of those here and there, as well as like, join this guild or join this group, or, you know, go and explore and that kind of thing. So is there anything else you wanted to grab before you head out?
maybe like some sort of like explosives just in case for like large areas if and walls and stuff.
Sure, sure. All right, so the climbing and mining stuff, probably about 10 buds worth. There's only one person in Morlock's Mount who sells explosives. Uh and that would be Gunny Jones. And Gunny Jones is a rather colorful individual in Tide Timber, well known for some questionable business deals. You guys find what kind of think like a Quonset, like military surplus store, essentially, sort of set up down by the docks. There's lots of hoverboats pulled up and traditional sailing ships parked there. And it just says Gunnies in like big explosive letters. And there is just like junk everywhere. There's like bits of mecha, there's starship parts, there's like ammo canisters everywhere. OSHA would have a field day with this place. Um, but there are folks coming in and out, and there's business is good. So if you guys want to head in, unfortunately the turtle, he will not be able to go in. The door's a little small. But he could certainly wait outside.
No respect for service animals.
I could quibble with the phrasing that he can't go inside. He is well enough behaved not to. He's fully capable of making his own way. Uh,
Very true. Very true. So you guys head in.
Question by the way. I
Yes.
know from the art he looks like he's made out of lava. Is he?
No, no. Hell,
No.
hell
Okay.
tortoises are not actually made of lava. It's just like it's like a bioluminescent thing.
Okay.
Um, yeah, no. The mechanics of making something actually made out of lava that would be rideable would be very challenging. But
Okay.
who knows? Maybe somewhere there's a Digimon evolution of a hell tortoise where he becomes a really hot dude with a turtle face and lava pouring off of him. Because that's how Digivolutions, I don't know the word, work. Um, so you head in, and it's inside this place. It's very well organized. Like everything's on racks, everything's labeled. It smells like grease and oil and black powder. There's also like an ozone quality to the air. And you can see sort of at the very back of the shack, there's a long counter. There's several clerks who are just like running back and forth trying to get people stuff. And standing behind all of them is this huge Ozbor troll, just sort of standing there cross-legged with like a huge cigar hanging out of his mouth. Big spiky black mohawk, jet white skin, blood red eyes, lots of sort of black facial tattoos, um, punk rock very much. It's like, all right, I need a case of 4580 to that person there. I need a 4 proton accelerators there. And you kid, you wanted the right, okay. Get him that for me, please. And he's just like yelling out as like clerks are running back and forth to grab stuff.
Bort takes off the hat that he was wearing and puts it over his heart. And he says, "My friend, you run this damn business like a well-oiled machine. Do you happen to have a spreadsheet that I could copy off of just for formatting business pursuits of my own? Do you need an apprentice?"
Uh or wants an internship at the Guns and Ammo.
I want a leadership seminar. This place is so organized.
You say that, and clearly Gunny, he's got like a little name tag that says Gunny. It's very not like it's one of those like just like printed off and like taped on, completely ruins his outfit. Looks over and goes, what's a spreadsheet?
He's not even he's not even working off of a spreadsheet. All right. I just need some organizational tips on how to maintain a business such as this on my own. I've never ever wanted to open a shop of my own, but suddenly I am touched with inspiration.
You'd have to talk to my husband about that. He does all the organizing. I'm the face of the business.
All the good ones are taken. He puts his hat back on. And he walks out. He walks outside to hang out with the turtle.
A single tear falls from Ort's eye. All right, well, what can I get you to? I guess your friend is having an emotional crisis.
It's been a very long day for him, but I was wondering, and you see her kind of like stand up a little bit taller, as if she could get any taller, um, and though out of uniform, can still tell that um the pride for her. She's wondering basically if this guy is a loyalist, an Irkin loyalist,
Mm.
to see if she can get a deal from him. So she's gonna like show off whatever she can, even outside of uniform. Um, we are new to this whole area, and was one where got assigned to Area 44. And it looks like we will be doing some scavenging and some finding. And we were just wondering if there was any kind of explosives for that area that you might recommend, my good sir.
Hey, you guys are looking for some seismic stuff, nothing too too big conservation area, I can hook you up. Did some time back with the 44th Thinned Battalion. Love the Urkins. Good time. And he yells over his shoulder, Billy, I need some seismics. And this very strung out looking looking Mitri, just this tiny little like bright yellow rodent man, just like just runs off. And about maybe 10 minutes later, you just see like little arms holding up essentially like a waiter's platter with about 5 of these kind of like pineapple shaped things that kind of, they're sort of in shape, but then they have these like essentially almost like teeth that you stick into stuff by the looks of it and like turn in order how long you need the seismic to go. And he plops it and he goes, anything else, boss? And he's like, no, go take your coffee break. He goes, all right, I can do the 5 of these for about 100.
You said you did time in 44, huh?
That I did, yes.
I was the battalion a couple battalions ahead of you. I was 42. 100, huh? You couldn't do 50?
T, you might want to go for a comrade on that one.
Okay. Um 11.
He's like, you guys had it real rough. Tell you what, I can do it for 40. And you guys bring me back a little something from the area from 44. We can call it good.
I mean, I don't know what we're going to find out there, but I can absolutely try. Do you know, was there something specific you were looking for? Again, sorry, I'm fairly new to the area, so is
Anything that
there
looks cool.
anything that looks okay? Fair enough. I will be on the lookout for that for you. And she kind of like nods respectfully and like gives him what he needs from money wise or such.
Rings you up, gets you guys a case that he, puts the seismic charges into very easily, and you guys are good to go if you want, unless there's anywhere else you want to stop before heading out.
Before we head out, Luna's going to fly up basically like in front of his nose where he can actually see her. Uh, Good to see you, Gunny. Did those bootleg tapes come in yet? Um, she's very much into music. He's obviously into the punk scene. I have a feeling that they went to a concert together. Then again, as far as she's concerned, the whole thing with Styx's shell being made of blackened skulls is all just just being an enthusiastic punk too. So
Yes, we just got a new shipment in. Let me find those. And he comes, he pulls out this little container and looks around. I got Crossed Stitch. This is their latest concert on Jinto 6. Or I've got wait, no, that one. Oh, that's a demo. Just throws it over his shoulder. I got this is a 2-parter. So he pulls out 2 tapes. This is Raxass Bloodbath tour number 5 from back home on good old Squire. So I could get you those.
They toured that album 5 times.
Yeah.
Damn.
Or it pops his head back in, just like,
Yeah.
I hear punk music being mentioned.
They toured that 5 times.
Happy to buy a tape. Also happy to move along. Just
Yeah,
just some silly flavor.
he gets you. He gives you tape. It's nothing on, and you guys are good to head out. So you have a choice. You could either, you know, you could cut your travel time down by like a couple of hours if you wanted to hop on the grav rail to get ahead, or you could just take the old roads through the woods, and you'd still get there. Just be like a matter of like, do we get there close to sunset or like a couple hours before sunset?
Would they allow sticks on the gravel?
Oh yeah, they have space.
Say a
Good to
couple
pick
hours
a rail.
before might be good so that we can set up camp and like
Yeah.
a base or whatever, to put our stuff or what have you. So
Yeah, that's a good call.
Right. Yeah, they let you guys on. They get sticks set up with some of the other critters. They set you guys up not far from him. The grav rail is still very much a new thing. It's only become sort of a thing in Haven in the last like 3 or 4 years. So it's kind of like rail travel is just becoming a thing. It's still decently expensive and only goes to limited places, but they see that you guys have junker badges, so they're like, okay, these guys are clearly, doing work. And you guys head off. And it's this sort of very beautiful track through again these just deep cedar forests, high sandstone ridges and mountains. There's a moment where you're trundling along and you see this cliff, you see a crag claw and its kittens kind of walking through the bush. So just this like buffalo-sized lynx with horns and tusks, and a bunch of little kits kind of pouncing on each other. Well, little, they're the size of pit bulls, jumping on each other and like rolling around. And sort of as the or just like, I want a kitty.
It's
Um,
beautiful.
uh, or it is just later in life, or it will become a poet and he'll just become Hemingway and write poetry about the landscape. Um, Eventually you guys stop, they let you off, and according to your maps, it's only about like an hour walk from where you guys got dropped off to probably close to where site 44 is. um, Very much out in the middle of the sticks with sticks. Not a ton of stuff here. It's very much like Pacific Northwest, like lots of moss, very damp, very wet, uh, very old.
Uh, Should we just head straight there? Or do we want to kind of peruse around the perimeter a little bit? I don't
we
know how
could
dangerous this. Yeah.
see what we're up against, kind of seeing if there's anything we should worry about throughout the evening. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have
Cool.
well, I don't know if we have the gigantic lava turtle because we took, the he might have had to stay behind. So
He came with
I
you
was
guys.
assured that they had plenty of room for him.
Yeah.
Yes.
oh, okay,
Six is with you guys.
okay. We do have scary giant lava turtle, so that kind of brings things down to a little bit anyway, as far as wanting to attack us. I would assume. So
Luna would
Oh,
probably argue with you about the word scary, but she's got her headphones on and she's rocking out to the bloodbath tour.
Does this tiny little moth just terrible screamo punk?
her
Um,
little
they're
headbang.
human-sized headphones.
so just one headphone, really. um, so the trail that looks through here, it looks like at one point, and again, Adelphos is in that way. Everything has grown over. Like the planet used to be one giant city back during the time of the Five Peoples, and everyone left for so long that the landscape grew over the city. And so you can see like bits and spots where there might have been the top of a building here at one point. there might have been like a radio tower here at one point. And this isn't anything that's uncommon. You guys have seen this before wandering around Haven. But what feels different here is that rather than like in other places you've been where nature grew over the technology, here it feels like nature grew with the technology. At points, if you look out, you can see certain trees that almost seem to have like patterns in their bark, like circuits, or you can see, here and there rocks that look almost more kind of like battery isn't the word I'm looking for, but they look much more smooth or rounded, almost like a diode or something. But just here and there, like it's not like this entire forest is a giant circuit board, kids. It's like scattered throughout. So something here feels more connected to whatever is below. Um, Not that you guys will be able to get below because it's going to be like digging through millions of years of of dirt and soil and rock. But something here does feel more connected to that past. Um, so you are welcome to do whatever you would like as you are walking along.
Can I? Ooh, I think you're muted.
Is Luna seeing any of this? She's seeing ruins. She's seeing bits and pieces of things. Anything that's catching her eye as potentially something that would make pretty noise,
Um,
or is
it
it too
all
big for that?
seemed it. This is definitely probably too old for that. Like you get the sense that there's kind of like a half life left. Like there's like a faded pulse of something, but it's more of just like the isotopes of the technology is remaining. There isn't really much left that's active. Um, you could certainly like listen to it and like tune in and like hear it. But as far as like trying to like kickstart it, probably not.
She'd love to fly up and put in ear and
Yeah,
listen, see
it
what's
it's musical in the sense that like if you there's like those folks who will like test the electric currents of like mushrooms or plants like on TikTok or Instagram. It's sort of like that, like a blipping. There is a symphony to it. There is a chorus to it. There is a pattern to it, but also just like this random burbling signal. Like there's this constant undertone of like a repeating pattern of almost like the heartbeat of the forest. And also like little random like pops and cracks and snaps. So almost kind of like if you were listening to like a record before like sort of like that like few seconds before the music on a record starts and then after the music ends, like that snapping and cracking, um with like a pulse to it. Martha, what were you asking?
Is it like a researched concept? The things that are connected here, is that like well known that like there's interconnectivity with the trees, and is it like the way that a root network works, or are those like circuit boards like located on these things connected to something that we know about, or is it kind of an unknown as to what they ultimately connect to?
For the most part, it's unknown. This phenomenon does occur in other parts of Haven in like different ways. So, like in Bigby's Vale, for example, there are the biodomes, and the biodomes are connected in some way to uh, the landscape beyond just being like they were built there. Like they are extensions of something. In Rune Salt, for example, and a lot of the mangroves there and like the salt flats, a lot of sort of the floating chunks of quagmire that are there and like the water life that's there are connected to things. So there are people wavelengths, much like Luna, who are trying to figure out what's going on, but it's one of those things where the deeper they get, it starts to get like a little overpowering. Like the feedback is just too much. So everyone's kind of like, okay, they folks look into it, and when it starts to get too much, they're like, we're gonna back off and step back from that.
Hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think Or is kind of as they go, just kind of like scanning the area and kind of like trying to, as they walk this path, identify any potential threats close by to where ultimately they will be camping.
Sure. You do eventually find the camp, which appears to be their, if there was a site that was identified, there was probably a research team that was here. So there's kind of essentially like a pop-up, not camper, but like a pop-up A-frame that's kind of here that folks, there's bunks in there, there's um a rain shower, that kind of thing. It's all very rudimentary and very basic, but it's not like camp beneath the stars, because if you camp beneath the stars, things will kill you. Um, so there's kind of just a basic research spot here, and then you guys can see that there is a trail that leads back to wherever the research spot is that you guys are going to. Just by looking around, it's probably been maybe a couple months since anyone was here. But it doesn't look like they probably just left because they were like, well, we got assigned to another job. And I would say that you can all tell that there's less of kind of the techno biodiversity here, and it feels more just like regular trees, regular dirt, regular rocks. Not so much the like smurge of the two.
Do we want to do we want to head straight there, or do we want to drop off our stuff and get a leg it up there? Or do we want to rest, recoup a bit? I could make a can of beans for everybody.
Do
How
we?
late in the day is it?
Yeah.
It is probably about like 3 in the afternoon.
Okay.
So you guys could have like a late lunch and then go if you wanted, or you could like chill out for the afternoon and look around and then go tomorrow, or it's up to you guys how adventurous you are feeling.
Okay with recuperating and having some late lunches and going to see what we need to do. Scouting out the areas because of course, Venla's gonna kind of be looking around for anything cool to bring back to.
The very specific thing that you have to bring back.
Yeah, yeah.
You just bring back like a coffee pot from the actual campsite.
Right. Like a really shiny rock that was in the cave or something. Like,
Yeah.
Found this cool flower or this
Right.
awesome stick. So, yeah, it's there's a little camp stove. You guys, there's some rune stones. You just kind of have to flick, and then so one of the technologies that folks can find is that they're just chunks of rune stones that you can just dig up and like imbue with a little bit of spark, and you just whack it, and it'll spark a little fire, or the electricity will come out. So there's some Felco stones, which are fire stones. You just and a little campfire. So or his can of beans. I now want art of Ort just sitting eating beans.
Make it
Um,
enough to share.
and I don't think it's like appetizing when it comes out of the can. I imagine it's like you gotta like whack it a couple times to like get the beans out, and they just come out very slowly.
It holds the shape of the can.
oh. Well, it's fine. Luna eats like a beans, so you don't have to, she's little, remember.
It's true.
So
The trick is you don't drain the bean water. You let them cook in the bean water.
No. Ugh. I hate that so much.
It's practically a soup.
um, as the scent of Ort's bean water wafts through the camp, even Styx has a look on his face of like, The turtle is
Nick
not
loves
pleased
it.
by the scent of bean water. Um, you guys sit and have I mean, does anyone else partake in Ort's beans and water?
Are spices a thing?
There is only salt and pepper in the cabin and nothing else. Or is like, oh my gosh,
I
cuisine.
finally have salt.
Venlith will try to make the bean water better with some salt and pepper. She is much regretting not going to, like, if there was a spice store or herb store in town before she left.
I mean, I would say you guys probably all have like rations that you probably have with you. I imagine Styx probably is carrying a ton of other food that you guys could eat. It's just that Ort is very much like, I must have my beans.
Oh no, this is a choice. I wanted this.
Okay, I'm now imagining that Ort has like a bandolier where one would have grenades. He just has bean cans.
I forewent carrying a weapon at all times. I only use my holsters for beans.
Just throws cans of beans. Um, so yeah, you guys have food. You do not have to partake in the beans with salt and pepper. I would say T, you get them to be somewhat palatable with the salt and pepper. It's not great. It's like table salt, not like sea salt. So it's like eh. They're more briny than like savory.
It works.
Ganja.
Or it is like a feast. A feast. What does
Maron.
Luna do during all of this as the beans are being made?
Um, okay, so bizarre, useless fact I learned in preparation for this game. Um, Silk moths, like Luna moths, for instance, don't actually eat once they're adult moths. They gorge themselves as caterpillars, and then their adult body doesn't actually have a digestive system. Um, I'm
Whoa.
not saying that Luna is like that, but she's channeling that part of her. She'd rather go hungry for a few hours than to get whatever that is all over her mandibles.
Luna,
That
it's
is
practically a soup.
that's wild though. That is such a wild fact that I did not know.
No.
Huh. That's cool. And also kind of terrifying. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. What's
That's
the
kind of
lifespan to not eat, to not have to eat?
Luna moths don't live very long. Silk moths don't live very long either. I think it's like 48 hours or something at most. It's like super, super short. I'm probably wrong on the 40 hours, but I know it's super short. So yeah, we all learned new facts here today, folks.
So we've had like many Luna moths and many Luna, like, this
Luna
is
just
not the
keeps being
first, yeah,
reborn.
this is not the
Yeah,
first Luna that we have come across. Essentially,
just
it's like
reincarnated, reborn, just a cycle.
Orc just has Luna in this little like box when she's got to like cocoon, and like, you know, we
Or
just
it's
keep
like
going.
she's just sleeping. She's just sleeping.
Just having a
Her,
rest.
her
She's
people have
going
a
in.
very strong incentive to develop medical technology to expand the lifespan, because their ancestral ancestors as adults 1 week.
Jeez. Huh.
Interesting.
All right. Well,
Devastating.
the beans have been made. Snacks have been had. It's probably about 4 in the afternoon at this point. Um, do you guys want to fast forward to the next day, or do you like, hey, we're all fueled up, fueled up on beans. Let's go check out this strange ruin that we don't know anything about.
I feel ready to go now.
I don't
Full of
know if
Happy to
protein.
go take a look.
Venlith would share his enthusiasm, but yeah, she's totally ready.
Cool, cool. All right. So you all follow the path that sort of leads from this little kind of research shack back to what essentially looks almost like kind of a butte that rises up out of the woods. It's not. It's maybe like 100 feet tall. It's very narrow. Like it's not like a super wide one. And you can see there's like some trees and greenery at the top that have grown. Um, the thing that you guys immediately notice though is that it looks like a giant foot is sticking out of the butte and that the rock has just grown over the foot.
Uh, okay. Now, when you say giant foot, like a, is it like, does it look like a rock foot or like a flesh foot?
It looks like a giant mechanical foot that the rock has
Okay.
like calcified over time. The foot itself is probably about as tall as sticks. It's about 20 feet, 20-foot tall foot, or rather, I mean, if it was 20, yeah, long, high. Um, and it does look like, from what you guys can see, is that again, it is. I would say you guys can just have like that's clearly a foot. Anyone else walking by would be like that just is a weird rock. You got like nope, that's a foot. And so the rock has kind of grown over it, but it does look like there's a way that you can like get into the rock to like get a look at the foot.
Having insect ancestry, Luna is a little bit wary, but she does have in her equipment a camera bot, which I'm assuming is basically like a drone.
Yeah.
Um, Specifically, Luna moths have these like circles on their wings that in our world are to supposedly to fool predators into thinking those are eyes. That's a big thing. I shouldn't mess with it. Um, but in this world, one of those lifts off and is her little camera drone. She's going to send it up to take a look before she gets anywhere close to a foot that big.
So pulling up like your little viewer, the bot flies in, little light flicks on. The foot looks almost entire. So like the rock has grown, and then there's like a chunk that's grown over, and then you kind of like slip in between, sort of this little hole that you guys could all easily fit through. It might be a little tight for T because they're a giant whale person. But it looks the foot itself looks to be like this sheer, like perfectly smooth metal. Um, Almost kind of like when you look at Quicksilver. Like it isn't liquid metal, but like it has that kind of like sheen appearance. Um, However, you do see through your drone, there appears to be like a an access hatch in the foot. Like you can see the outline of a door. There's no knob, there's no lever, no handle, just like an outline where you're like that probably is a door.
Um, I am assuming that my display is way too small for these giant friends to see. So
Oh
Luna
yeah.
will describe what she's seeing. Uh,
Should we go around to the door?
Yeah, there doesn't
Uh,
look like anything is like threatening in there. It's
yeah.
yeah.
Cool. And from what you can tell, also, Steve, with like your drone, is that the scientists that were here probably tried to get in. Like you can see, like there's tools in the ground that are like broken and like notes that got like wadded up. So they probably tried to get in, but just gave up. Um, so you guys can certainly take a look. I would say all of you can fit inside the space. Might be a little tight, but you can all certainly get in there. And I would say that this is something that Luna specifically uh, feels more of an energy signal, almost as things like powered down or dormant. You may do with that information what you choose.
We're gonna meet like Megatron in this rock. Absolutely.
It's I, Megatron. You guys are like, oh no, what did we awaken?
Is this part of the job?
So are we never thought I would say this line. Are we in the foot then, or are we just in the rock covering of the foot?
In like the rock, like you're in the little cave that's like grown around where the foot is. So like you can now, with the light from Luna's very tiny drone, you can see like the outline of what would be the access hatch into this foot.
I assume that I am probably too big to fit through the said hatch.
No, you could definitely like you wouldn't be able to like walk up straight, but you could certainly like get down on hands and knees and like go into it. Same probably with Ort. Luna can easily just fly through. But you guys would probably have to crawl.
And they were trying. They couldn't get the hatch open.
Nope. Like you can even see where like they like drew equations of or like ideas like on the cave walls, and they just couldn't figure it out.
So like perfectly smooth, nothing to like grab onto or anything.
Other than like it's really smooth in the sense that like there is like a tiny lip of where the door is, but it's all one singular piece. Like it's not like you could like jam something and try to like shimmy it open, like if you're trying to like open like a can or something. If it was, you could just let Ort go at it because Ort's opened so many cans of beans. Um, but as you get close to the foot, I would say, T and Martha, you guys both start to see like almost kind of like a dappling, almost like when you see like watch like rain fall into water. There's like a little dappling down by the foot, down by the access hatch, as Luna gets closer to it.
As if it's like reacting to Luna.
Yes.
Okay. I guess we should.
I'm sorry, audio cut out for just a second. Can you say that again?
So what Martha and T sees it is as Luna gets closer, almost how like when you watch like rain fall onto water, the metal around the access hatch seems to like ripple with like almost like a blue red light as Luna gets closer.
Maybe we
Okay.
can have Luna land on the door and see if there's any reaction to it. If not, we can just blow it up. I mean, I'm cool with that too, but
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm happy to blow up the foot, but I think Luna might have a real shot of getting in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And just in case the foot is attached to something, if the foot is 20 feet long, I don't think we want to upset whatever it might be a part of. Um, so Luna's going to step up and I guess first of all just place a hand against the door, see if she feels anything, see if it responds.
So as you place your hand against the foot against that door, it sort of ripples a little bit, and then with a very slight the door opens, and you Luna particularly you that sensation of like when you've awakened older stuff, that like little zap of spark kind of pings there for a second, and every time you've done it there's a different feeling. You almost get like a sense of melancholy from this, like of, and you feel like you hear as like an echo of like something mournful. But the door is open, and you all see like clearly when this would have been standing up, there was like a ladder to climb up. But now and as you look in, you guys could stand up. You just have to like get down on hands and knees and like walk in. Then you could stand up and walk uh down the leg.
Okay, so it's like laying down from what we can assume.
Yeah,
It's
from
not
what you guys
standing. It's
yeah, from
laying.
what you guys can tell, it's either it's sitting or it's laying down, whatever this thing is.
Hmm.
Shall we go more in the leg or let Luna send her little drone first?
Ooh, yeah, maybe peer into the foot, see what's going on.
Yeah, yeah.
Before Luna does that, and she is going to, but first, um, so her people live basically inside the wall of spaceships. They're very much attuned to vibrations and such, and she particularly is attuned to sound. Um, if we take something metal, a tool, whatever, and bang against the door, and she listens very, very carefully to echoes, vibrations. Is there anything interesting that she might hear before we send the drone in?
Hmm. Hmm.
I don't hear a voice saying nobody's home.
Nobody's here. Go away. No, you definitely get the sense that this place is empty. Like there is no other humanoid life in here. Um, you do get the sense that some systems might still be like not operational, but like there's like some juice left in them. But whatever this thing is, there's no real danger of like waking it up. Like
Okay.
it is definitely very old, like old. Um
Okay.
so yeah, it wouldn't be like a oh no, we hit a button and awakened a doomsday device.
Yeah.
Um on accident. Whoopsies, there goes the neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's definitely too old for that. But there is some like residual power in here.
So she turns to both of her friends. I like it here, and then she's going to go ahead and send her drone in for a look.
So your drone zips along for probably like 5 minutes down this leg. Just kind of going slowly. You know, you can see where there's all this wiring that's sort of in the lane. It appears there's sort of like it feels compared to other tech you guys have found, this feels older and like it's a little clunkier. Like if you compared like a Model A from 1912 to a Model A from like 1920. Like this was something that might have been like a prototype almost, or like a test piece, just because through the camera you can see they're like notes scribbled in some like weird ancient script. There's things that have been patched. Like whatever this was, it was experimental in one way or another. Until you finally get to another door and you can't go any further.
Okay. Do I have a sense of scale, whether my unnecessarily gigantic friends are going to get stuck or anything if they follow me in?
No, it you definitely get the sense that it was actually made for people larger than both of them.
Well, about time. And Luna's going to go ahead and kind of gesture to them to follow.
Benla's gonna
I
follow.
follow. I trust you implicitly.
Can Venlith, as like she's walking along, like you say that there's notes and stuff scribbled on the ground, like collect the notes. Like she's like, oh, maybe my friend can read this and this is kind of fun. I don't know. It might like blow up the world and say like the doomsday device because she cannot read it. Um, but
I don't know what these say. Can you tell me?
you know,
Um,
she
The end times?
yeah. No, you could definitely like scan them and just like start like digitizing like these notes that are scribbled like all over it with like chalk and stuff. So yeah, you could start like just building like an archive of whatever this it is talking about. Um, if you guys want to make any rolls, feel free. Just want to let me know what, if any, role you want to make. You don't have to. It's up to you.
Um, Luna's really good with tech. I'd love to give her a chance to do a spacer roll, see if she can make any sense of any of the I don't want to say machinery, but any of the stuff that we're finding so far.
Sure, go for it.
Okay. Um, she's still thinking about the beans. Um, even with +2 from spacer and +2 more from being a Luna investigating tech, that's still a 6.
um, yeah, you're not really getting anything. It's I would say maybe the excitement of just being in here is a lot, and so you're like, oh, there's
Yeah.
so much stuff. Um, but so yeah, there is, all this stuff. You eventually get to the door, and very similar to last time, you guys watch as the closer Luna gets to it, there is that like that ripple, that waver. And I assume you open the door.
Hmm.
Okay. You open the door, opens, and you all walk into this huge kind of like central chamber, which you can assume is like you look across and you can see, what would have been, if this thing was standing up, would have been like a central disc, which was probably like the waist. You guys have like entered into what would be the pelvis, and then there's more further up. Um, this is where, Luna, you're able to feel a lot of the energies that still are kind of pulsing here. Um, and there is a dull light coming from wherever this kind of like waste platform is.
Trying not to think too hard about a pulsing pelvis. Luna's going to go ahead and send her camera bot ahead to take a look at whatever the light
Yeah.
might be.
So the camp bot heads up, and you see that this appears to be, there's sort of a large, strange, kind of round, almost looks like a brain coral orb, probably about the size of like a small boulder, sitting locked into some kind of, almost think like a wheel bearing, almost like sort of locked into this. There's large spikes driven into it with like tubes and pipes running off to other places. And then you see behind this thing, there's a thicker, what would be like the spine of cables and tubes and wiring running up to the next platform, which would probably look like it would be in the region where maybe like a heart or set of lungs would be set up. The glow appears to be coming from like some really old screens that just kind of like pulsing at you. From with the bot, you can't quite read the details on them.
Hmm.
um but yeah, that's what you can get from here with your bot. It's just sort of this big boulder sized, like pocked rock sort of thing with like all these different needles and things punched into it, and this like spine running up to the next level.
Yeah. So Luna is passing along everything that she's seeing step by step because again, screen sized for a moth is not going to be much help to these two, but she can describe.
I think as we go, or kind of wants to take a look at the space from like the perspective of somebody who like tinkers with engines and machinery pretty
Mhm.
frequently. This is kind of like a mechanized being, as I understand, and
Yes.
or is kind of trying to discern whether or not like this is kind of in the way that some things in this area are, which is like a there's kind of bio-circulatory system, but they're also it might be like a mechanized one, and
Hmm.
or is kind of trying to figure out whether or not what they're in is like parts living being, parts like full thing that was created for the purpose of like
Yeah.
transportation.
Yeah. So as you're walking out with sort of that trained eye, you get the sense that you're not seeing any big like joint machinery. Like there are mecha. Like mecha are common for folks around the galaxy. Um, they're very much smaller than whatever this is, but still decently large. This you don't see anything that would lead to like there is a skeletal system that has to support pistons, it has to support joints that have to support, there's no frame in here really beyond whatever these platforms are. And you are getting more of a sense that this might lean more into like a biomechanical and more of the bio and less of the mechanical. If you guys want to take a look at the big rock when you guys get to that second platform, you can. Or you guys can just head straight up to that other one.
I want to study that rock.
And I'm really curious about the screens.
Sure. So you guys get up there, like I said, it's about a boulder sized. It's almost perfectly spherical. Like I said, looks very much like brain coral. The screens are in that same language that the notes were scribbled in. From what you can guess, it's maybe denoting like a power level or something. I would say though, our Caspian friend, she has seen these before, and this is a very young one of those things from the size of it. And what you recognize as T is as something called a Ymiran core. Essentially, this is a heart of a giant that someone ripped out of a giant to power this thing with.
I'm gonna tell my friend Luna that. Um. Also, oh, what do I do here?
I would say you've only seen this once or twice before because in some areas of Caspian space, it is considered kind of a rite of passage for young soldiers to hunt giants, and to you take their cores to power ships. Um, but this was probably a very young giant that was hunted.
Is there any way, this is gonna end bad, I bet. Um, for her to, can she see any way for her to remove it? Like, okay, so it's like, it's not like I assume it's like a metal heart. It's not like a heart. I'm just
It's
wondering if
like
I,
rock, kind of almost
okay,
like pumice, kind of.
okay, so I don't need to put it in a jar with like formaldehyde and stuff.
No, but it's like the size of like a boulder. Like it's a big.
Oh, so I probably can't carry it either. Okay.
No,
Makes sense.
no.
Dang it. I'll find something else cool then.
So I
Well,
would say you, Ort and Luna, you do not recognize what this is. So it's up to our friend if they want to share it with you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah, she absolutely passes on what it is and why she knows what it is about having to. I assume she probably has had to bring back her own, as you know, her own rite of passage. So, yeah. Um, I'm sorry. So, uh, is it reacting to Luna, or is it just kind of like hanging out there?
It's just it's dead. Like it's
Okay.
it's long dead, and whatever little vestiges left. It's kind of clinging on, and sort of just enough to make the screen. So there is light coming from further up, wherever that sort of like heart chest spot would be.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, so she's just gonna let them know that that's what this is and her own dealings with it so that they're not questioning why she knows what this is. So they travel with her willingly or not willingly. So I assume that they know about a little bit about her and her time um, in the military and what kind of she went through a little bit, as much as she could like bear to tell and like could actually tell.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I understand kind of normalities and intricacies in, different cultural landscapes, but for this to be it, this, as you describe it, is the heart of a young giant. It seems a bit dishonorable for, you know, the kind of game, whatever this is. This seems entirely apart from what you're describing. This seems like something nefarious and something else entirely.
I agree.
Whatever, yeah, whatever this seems, beyond our. I mean, you know, not that I'm a, not that I'm a narc, not that I have a but it seems like a crime. It seems like some kind of something bad is going on here. This doesn't feel right.
I was always taught be nice to the big people, especially their children.
So do you guys head up to the next platform?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Question before we do.
Sure.
I know the old screens are in the very old language we can't read. Um, can I make a tech roll and see if there's anything that Luna can intuit from, like, the interface or the way it's designed, or I'm assuming that anyone who was smart enough to build this enormous, you know, construction, maybe had, reasonably user friendly interfaces. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, if you want to go ahead.
Okay, that's a little more like it. That is a 16.
All righty. um just by kind of like looking around, putting things together, this would have been considered the engine of whatever this thing was, and probably what these screens were denoting was tracking the power of the engine, pretty much.
And this thing is like collapsed on its side.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's fallen almost as like in the way like something must have hit it like in its head region, and it would have just like fallen over. And so it's kind of like it is sort of like on its side, kind of crumpled up. Um, Obviously, because you can't like see the arms and stuff, you don't have 100%. But just from like the way that everything's landed, that's kind of the vibe of it. Um, yeah. So,
But
do you
these,
guys have a?
but everything's still functional. It just was
No,
like hit and then.
Yeah, it was hit, and then like there wasn't, surprisingly, there isn't a lot of inside damage. It seems like maybe whatever hit it gave it like a very strong zap, and that's what knocked it out.
God.
Not, I mean, like kablooied it, but like it got like bzzzt, and then so
Okay.
so up to the
Yeah, I
second
think we go up
platform.
to the next. Yeah.
All right. As you guys come up here, there's more wires and more tubing and more cables and more stuff, and it's here that you meet the pilot of whatever this thing was, only they are long dead. You come up and you see sort of this bank of computers and all this old tech, and connected to them in what almost looks like a sarcophagus of sorts is this strange alien, uh which you guys can only assume must be one of the ancient peoples that could. It's tall and sort of this almost featureless face, except for a set of four eyes, two larger and two smaller, a very thin slit of a mouth, and sort of pale, what must have been once maybe like pale green skin. um it seems to be fused into this sarcophagus, and its set of upper arms from the elbows down skinned and plugged into all these diodes and locked into like these large gauntlets. Its smaller arm, lower arms, still very much free, but now kind of like withered and mummified to operate the control panels. And you guys see this huge needle stuck into the back of its head that links up to the other cables. So, hence, as Ort discovered, very much a biomechanical thing.
Uh, okay. So I pull out the paper. What were we supposed to find something here? What
All
were
it
we
asked,
supposed to do?
all it asked was for you guys to find a way in and investigate, document what you found, and come back.
I feel like maybe this is very sensitive information.
Are you
Uh,
thinking we shouldn't turn this in? Like, are you thinking we should, like, close everything down and tell them we couldn't find a way in?
well, I don't. It just seems so wacky that it makes sense. It cultivates its own mystery to not be able to enter a place, but to find kind of an ancient being in a collapsed, sculpted mechanoid body, it feels like huge implications would come from that. I guess I'm just being a skeptic, or I'm feeling a little uneasy about kind of all of this. I feel like maybe I'm just second guessing things. Maybe we should turn all of this in.
Are you thinking so so this is gonna go back to Venlis like beginning where like she's trying to get into, the whole like government kind of deal and no one's really doing listening to her kind of ordeal. Um so are you thinking that like maybe these people are like the whoever's given us the job or whoever's given anyone the jobs maybe behind these sorts of things and maybe are trying to cover up what was done or something?
Well,
I think
just to clarify, timeline wise, that work because this thing is millions of years old.
Okay.
So they probably have no idea what's in here. It's just that they were like, we are trying to get into it to find out what is here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
yeah. I don't think there's real reason to suspect that there'd be nefarious intent, but I will say that a lot of, job matching, job doling out industries often answer to corrupt branches of the government. And I'll tell you what, all branches of the government are corrupt. So, whoever this gets back to, I don't imagine it'll result in something, you know, positive. But I also I don't know to what end keeping it a secret would help. I mean, you kind of seemed set in your own wanting to start a government of your own. Maybe, you know, maybe having a government secret is a good start. I don't know how governments work. I'll be honest with you.
It's
I
me.
fix cars.
I fix cars and I eat beans.
I mean, I guess it'll. Well, herein lies the problem. That's all well and good, but then it goes to like cleanup and all that good jazz, and how we're gonna, you know, use this large construct to better this government and this area. Um, so I mean, it could, yeah, it could give me an edge. Um,
You creating jobs?
I mean, I do need a good cleanup
We could
crew, I guess. Yeah, and um, yeah. If Luna's got any little moth friends, we're gonna need a lot of them because apparently they're the only ones that can open these things. If there's more of
yeah,
them,
and a lot of walls to hang out in.
yeah, yeah.
Um, Liz, while this conversation's been going on, has been basically paying her respects to the pilot. Um, it is not easy at her size, but she's been uh, in terms of our world. I don't know what the traditions are in this world, but closing each one of those four eyes. Um, Her people are considered very good luck on spaceships because you know mechanically handing out plus ones and plus twos on tech rolls. Um, I imagine there have been cases where some of them were not exactly offered the option to leave. Um, so she's looking at what was done to this creature. Um, and she turns back to the two of you, and if you want to share the construction of this whole body, uh, that's fine. But if we're going to do that, I suggest we take one of those pineapples and make sure this technology right here that taps into to limbs goes away. I don't want anybody studying this and figuring out how to do it again.
Do you reckon that this person was forced into this body? Forced, made to do this?
Okay. Above game. That's how it sounded to Steve. I'm not sure if Luna is seeing anything different than what I'm seeing in my head.
The vibes that you get from this individual is that they probably were in here. They chose to be here. Like, you don't see anything, but more the idea that they didn't expect they were like, oh, I'm gonna be a pilot for this thing. The vibe that they were like, oh, I didn't realize I was going to be literally fused into this thing.
Yeah.
is kind of from like looking around that kind of is like you can kind of like put two to two together in like different little elements of like they probably started being like, oh, I'll do it, and then like, oh, this is it's too late for me to get out.
Yeah, you mentioned part of their arms being skinned and plugged in and locked in. That does not sound voluntary to me.
No.
Uh,
Yeah.
I am also having big time flashbacks to Farscape, but we don't have to go there.
So
Yeah. I
what do you think your guys' final decision is on this?
I think Luna is right, and we should kind of make it so this sort of discovery never gets made. Nobody can kind of tap into this forceful, aggressive uh technology. And I think that we could use the shell of this being as, maybe some kind of like a passion project. We clean it up, we turn it into something, some kind of even scrap it for functioning parts, and we kind of start to service the cost to the cause of your new government. We basically create an upstart.
I'm okay with that. Maybe we can. This is probably gonna sound weird. Construct like a memorial. I don't want to say shrine. That's a weird word. To this, like this is where we were, but look how far we've come. Now we don't need to go and like have aliens attached to things for our own gain or something like that, and to memorialize him, her, it.
Yeah,
So
like
Yeah, yeah, I'd be okay with that. Yeah.
right.
I kind of, I don't know why I just got like a southern accent, but is there a way that we can like? It's probably, you said it's all just bones and mummified and stuff, so it's like no way to like remove this thing and like bury the thing or anything like that. Okay.
No.
Okay.
well, I feel like we can kind of hack where the pieces of it like are interconnected to the being over like time, and just try to like remove the center and maybe dig a big hole.
Like bury the bones or what have you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, with this kind of rough plan taking shape and starting to form, with this sort of vision to take the darkness of what this thing was and try to use it for some good to now create a new duchy or county or of something of some kind now. um you guys start to set to work and start to come up with a plan. The question is, when you guys head back, do you tell anyone? Do you guys what do you do to complete the job that you were assigned?
I never go back to that job guy, and I keep the credit card he gave me.
I mean, I'm okay with not going back. I'm gonna not use the credit. I'm just gonna cut up, rip up, cut up, whatever kind of technology I have. But I also grabbed like, if at all possible, a really cool wire or something interesting, just because I have debts to pay myself. Um, so not really debts, but promises.
Gunny
Um,
needs this cool thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Kind of thinking maybe one of those million-year-old screens uh, seems generic enough, but still interesting enough to give to Gunny.
yeah. And then see if he wants to maybe be my government business partner.
The troll and his husband to
Yes.
militarize the government. Love it. We love it. Perfect. Any other final things you guys each do as you prepare on this next step before we close out? Oh, geez.
And of course, I vow to, keep in touch with Luna and Fort. I mean, they're going to be some way, shape, or form, in my government. I need, you got to have the technology whiz for Luna, and Fort makes beans.
Like beans. We sit down at our first assembly, like our first government assembly, the 5 of us, and I go, you guys, before we get started, you should know that I'm in the middle of a pretty nasty divorce. So if any scandal comes out about me in the midst of us trying to create this government, you guys, you're gonna have to cover for me.
Everyone takes a shot of beans.
I want to say that after we've removed and buried the pilot, and possibly before, possibly after, whatever we decide to do with um, the whole construction, um, big old hollow metal space. Um, there's at least one rave inside.
Nice. Yes. Excellent. Excellent. All right. So, with that, that draws this wacky little adventure here to a close for everybody. So, as we're wrapping up, um, thank you again so much, folks, for agreeing to jump on and do this. Um, where can folks find you? What are you guys each working on? And anything else you would like to share as we sort of close out? So, Martha, if you want to start us off, like,
Cool. Yeah. Um, thank you so much for running this, and thank you for having me on. This was so much fun. I'm at Martha B. Neal on all my socials, and if you're, oh, and tomorrow is the finale of the 4-episode Apocalypse Keys series at Pantsless Tables. And also, if you just watch improv comedy around Austin, Texas, you'll probably run into me at some point.
excellent. All right, Steve, if you want to.
I am Steve. You can find me on the socials at Tall Halfling, sometimes Tall Halfling RPG. Um, it's actually a week or two until I have anything else big coming up. Playing a D&D murder mystery on Lost Caravan on the 11th, uh, which should be fun. Uh, yeah.
Turf, what about you?
Um, so I can be found on X at Misadventure TTV, and then Misadventuring 101 anywhere else. We are actually on a break as I am on vacation for the next week. Yay! But it's where I get to play GM and run a group of nerds so hilariously chaotic they'll leave you wanting more through my own homebrew world of Amonstra. So, yeah.
Awesome. And I was your alder for today, Cam Day, at Daylite Pub LLC on the various socials. We just released a bunch of new setting stuff this week. So if you want some expansions for stuff like our musical romance setting, De Jour, we just had a Dreamer's Guide to De Jour come out today. We just had a Diver's Guide to Abysara, which is our cozy core, but also dark eldritch underwater city setting. So lots of cool stuff for Daylite coming out over the next couple weeks, as well as some new comics that will be dropping to explore the worlds. So yeah, you can come and check all that out. And maybe I'll be on some more APs this summer to show off the system. And just as far as other amazing stuff that Nerds with Dice has going on that you guys can check out, Iron Sword in the Valley every other Thursday, 8 p.m. EST. Just some other various announcements. The Pride charity event has been moved to June 29th and June 30th. So keep your eyes out and open for casting calls. Check out YouTube for more adventures with and from Nerds with Dice. And if you have a story you wish to tell or a game you wish to showcase, Nerds with Dice Creators application is always open and can be found on Twitter and Blue Sky. That's how I did this and how I found it. So it's super cool. Or just ask for the link in our Discord. And tonight we are going to be raiding Lost Caravan. So after this here wraps up, you guys can head on over there. It has been super cool and a huge honor to run the game for you tonight. So thank you all so much.